everyone, and welcome back to the best podcast out here on these streets, your favorite, the one and only, I don't know, with your host, myself, Jackie, and
Sana.
Welcome. Hello.
Hello, everybody. I know we had a little break.
We did.
We're back. We're stronger than ever.
Well,
we had
let's not overpromise.
Creative differences. I'm just kidding. None of that happened.
There was some drama. We won't get into it. But if you're listening, this is what happened. I'm just kidding.
No, just kidding. We just needed a break.
Yeah, it was our spring break.
Yeah, we just been very busy.
Yeah, we have a lot going on, everyone. So
we do have a lot going on.
Nothing of significance, but all right, so let's get into it. What have we been up to since spring break, the weekend?
Yeah.
What did you do, Sana?
So I've been busy.
You actually have been.
Few major exciting things. I am officially going to be starting to teach Legree, so
Yay!
that's super exciting. So I will be on the schedule in May. Any of my Orange County fitness girls or guys that want to work out with me, please message me. I'd love to kick your asses.
No, I'll have to come take a class.
Yeah. So now we've added more titles to us. We're a podcaster. We're a realtor, side teacher, trainer.
Look at that.
We're just adding more and more. We're busy.
Add
we're
the
trying
titles.
to keep busy.
Update the resume.
Since we don't have a man's, we just do things.
We have a lot of time on our hands.
Yeah, we fill them up with like 3 jobs now.
You got to do what you got to do.
We got to do what you got to do. And then this past weekend, I was at Coachella. So I literally came back from Coachella today. I am here. Caesar saw me. Caesar saw me. He's like, how are you here?
He's like, how do you have the energy right now?
I feel great.
Yeah, she took a nap.
I took a nap. I'm hydrated. It was a good time. This was my first time doing the whole weekend. Last year I went for one day, and that was my first time I ever went last year. And this was my first full weekend experience.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. We had a house. There was 5 of us. We had some other people that we knew there.
Yeah.
It was fun.
That's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am definitely not. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not. I don't really anticipate myself being a festival person. Coachella at this age now, because I'm going to be 37 on Friday.
Everybody remember Jackie's birthday's on Friday.
My birthday. I will
this
link
Friday.
The Amazon wish list should you choose.
Well, make sure it's out on Wednesday with the episode.
So I'll make sure it's out on Wednesday, everyone. No, I feel like now at my age, I'm just like, that sounds awful.
Well, I don't know. I would never do this as a parent, but there were people there with their kids.
Absolutely not.
I would never take my kids.
Absolutely not.
But we literally, it was the funniest thing. We were dying. So last night, there was this mom shaking her ass. It was 9 p.m. to one of the sets. And the daughter's just in the stroller with her headphones and she's trying to get her mom's attention. The mom's busy
oh my God.
We were what is going on?
Oh Lord. Please don't take your children to Coachella and ignore them while you get your groove on. Just find a babysitter. I don't know.
It was really funny. And then the dad was behind the stroller and you could tell he was
yeah,
why are we here?
What is this?
What is this? It was very interesting. It was funny.
Yeah, that's hilarious, honestly. I just picture it in my head right now. Yeah, I'm just not the festival person.
Well,
I just don't think.
I didn't know I was either. But I had a great time.
Maybe I need to try. I have not been to Coachella. It just does not.
I could see that.
I just think it's not my vibe.
But you know what? This year was one of the coolest weekends for Coachella, and the weather was good.
It was nice. It wasn't blazing.
It wasn't blazing. Sunday was a little bit hotter, but it wasn't blazing. It was so bearable, and it was fun. Hopping to stage. Yeah. We actually barely had time to eat because you're just everything is constant.
Yeah, it's constant. I too attended a festival this past weekend, and it is a TCM Classic Film Festival.
Very different.
Very different. Where I go and I stand in line with 60 to 70-year-olds, and we hear people talk about their movies and their experiences, and I sit in an air-conditioned theater, and it's fantastic.
That sounds great. I think you should try.
Maybe we'll
once.
See. We'll
if
see.
There's a lineup you're into.
Yeah, if there's a lineup that I'm solidly into.
I had to go for Bad Bunny.
That's fair.
Bad Bunny, Calvin Harris. He was a
vibe.
vibe. That was really fun. Yeah. High energy. Frank Ocean, if you saw,
the disappointment.
The disappointment. It was not good.
No, I do have the opportunity to possibly go to Stagecoach.
Okay.
The responsible adult inside of me is like, no, that's not really, you shouldn't be spending money on that. That's not something that's a priority, and you've got other things, and, but the child in me is like, but I want to go, and it sounds so much fun. So
and I think it would probably be more mellow than Coachella.
Definitely feels like way more mellow. It's really funny because I'm not like a country music fan. Like I really could, like if you held a gun to my head and said name 3 country artists, I'd be like, well, you just better pull the trigger.
Literally.
Because I don't know.
Carrie Underwood?
Yeah.
Luke Bryan? That's it.
Miley Cyrus?
Yeah.
Does she count?
Dolly Parton?
Yeah, Dolly Parton. Yeah.
Billy Ray.
Billy Ray.
There's something all coming out.
Yeah. But it's fun though. Like it's just like a good time because I think everything's just very chill, and that's just like me. Now I'm in this chill era.
What's really funny is Jackie likes a line dance.
Yes. Oh my God. It's so much fun.
When we were planning Jackson Hole in January, she was like, I need to like start practicing.
I was like, I need to start practicing my lane dancing. Yeah. I like YouTube. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared. Of course, it didn't even work because the bar that we went to, it was like all people who don't line dance. So it was like a mess.
Trying.
Listen, it's a great time. It is so much fun.
Yeah.
I highly recommend people checking out your local country bar because it's fun.
We'll see.
It's just a good time. But anyway, so yeah, I went to typically I would do the whole weekend of a film festival, but now I'm just like, it just gets to be a lot. And if I don't like the lineup of the films, but I went and saw Ocean's 11.
Okay.
And George Clooney spoke, and Steven Soderbergh.
Cool.
Yeah. And I really like Steven Soderbergh as a director, so it was cool to just hear them. That's what's really cool about it is like you actually get to hear their experiences working on films and their partnerships or whatever. So that was really cool. And that was fun. And then what else? I saw Jen Bunny.
Jen, who brought us together.
10
years ago.
10 years ago, everyone. We all came together as a friend group. Jen brought us together, so I saw her and her babe, Trent, the little one. He's so cute. Her little babes. So yeah, we just drank wine, got tipsy, all that good stuff, hung out. Fun. No, it was a good time. But yeah, so... And then just, work and craziness, all that good stuff. Yeah, we
always have craziness at work. You guys don't even know that.
Yeah, there's always something going down. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, and now we're back from spring break. And so today our topic is, it was actually asked for. It was requested by a listener.
Yes.
Hooray.
Hooray. We received an email.
Yes.
And we love when we receive emails like this.
Yes.
And she was just talking about the podcast, and she just wanted to a little bit know more about my journey of getting out of a long-term relationship and being how my journey was after being with someone for 3.5 years, because she is experiencing that right now and feels like it's so relatable to other people going through this. And that is what we're going to be talking about, because it marks officially a year since I've been single.
Yes.
April, like last week, was a year.
Yeah. We thought, there's no better time to do the whole post-breakup journey.
Yeah, the year recap.
Yeah, the year in the life. But no, we really definitely, we thought that, that's a great, it's a great topic, because I think a lot of people can relate to it.
And I think you forget that it's so relatable.
Yes.
And that's why I don't constantly talk about it. Like,
yes.
And she even mentioned, like, you say snippets, but you don't go into detail
about it.
Don't
give us the tea. Don't give us everything. Tea. Yeah. So kind of to start off, again, like if you've listened to the podcast, you've heard us kind of talk about it, and Sana's kind of mentioned it, but you did have a breakup after 3.5 years of being together. So kind of, I guess, in a nutshell, or to whatever extent you want, like, why the breakup after that amount of time?
There was just a lot, I think we met when I was kind of young. I know some people won't find that young, but we met when I was 26. And a 26-year-old now than like our parents' generation is very different. Like, you're still learning about yourself. You're still figuring out what you want.
Totally.
And going from that and then breaking up to being almost 30. So we broke up a few months before I turned 30. it's just the relationship changed. What I wanted changed. How we interacted with each other changed. Everything was just not what it used to be. And it wasn't one of those things where it's like, well, maybe you just stopped working on it. It was more, I just think we grew apart. We wanted different things. And I think for him, he didn't see it initially.
Yeah.
I think because we were together for so long, it's easy to stay comfort. It's easy to stick into it. And I feel that he knew we weren't the right fit anymore. But he wasn't ready to let go of it.
Yeah.
Because there were things, sense. You know, I can't just sit here and say like, oh, it was all him. It was, there were so many things that he did that I didn't like or all of those things. No, there were things he didn't like about me or things he wanted me to change. And it was just it was a lot of things. I think a little bit he lost his identity through the relationship. I think that happened a lot where it just, everything was dependent on me.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy.
Right. You know? You want someone to have a sense of their own self. And you don't want to lose that sense of individuality, even in a relationship.
Yeah. So I just don't think we were growing at a healthy, like, pattern.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We were kind of staying stagnant. But after being together for 3.5 years, like, being almost 30, you'd be like, well, when are we going to take this next step?
Yeah.
And I know he was ready to take that next step, but I don't feel like we were mentally as a whole ready for that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And there was a lot of factors to it. It was a lot of growing apart. It was a lot of what I wanted is not what I want now. And I know you've always mentioned this to me, like every year in your 20s is like what you say, like it's like 10 years?
Every year in your 20s is like 5 years. Yeah.
You used to always tell me that. Because when I met Jackie, it was right before I turned 21. And like I was that typical 20-year-old, the Miss Know-It-all, where it's, I know what I want.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to change. I've been the same person every year.
I know exactly what I'm looking for, what I want. Are you kidding me? Like, no, you're not going to change my mind.
You're not going to change my mind.
And I was 27. Yeah. And so I would tell her, you know, I was getting into my late 20s, pushing 30. And I'm like, I'm telling you, every year in your 20s is like 5 years. Like who you are at 21 versus who you are at 25, you're like, I don't even know her.
No, and I was like, I'm so mature. Yeah, I don't know what that. My mom and Jackie says all the time. I was like, these girls, they don't know me.
Yeah.
They don't know how mature I am. Joke's on me. But you do. And like, it's also what you're willing to kind of accept at your 20s and put up with is very different when you are in your 30s.
Yes.
I think in your 20s, you are more in that mindset, well, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I'll figure that out when I get there. You're not thinking long term.
Yes.
You're thinking very much live in the moment.
Yes. You're thinking of the here and now.
The here and now.
Not thinking
I'll worry about that later.
Yes.
I'll worry about that working out later.
Yes.
But right now, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. Right now, I love this. This is exactly what I'm wanting. This feels good. And that's all that matters.
Exactly.
That makes sense in your 20s.
Yeah,
you know,
you're
like
figuring it out.
You are figuring it out, but that's kind of, I think, sometimes why people fall into a trap of comfort and staying, because it's just like, well, it feels good and it's safe and, you know, okay, I don't know, like.
In the big one, I don't want to start this all over.
Yes.
I don't want to go through the dating all over.
Yeah.
I don't want to put more time into somebody else. I've already invested so much time. And it's the wrong mindset to have.
Yeah. It's like if I have to ask somebody their favorite color another time, I swear to God, I'm going to lose it. Yeah. But again, you kind of just take whatever you were feeling in your 20s and you hang on to that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the danger of it, because, I mean, after 3.5 years, like, this sounds kind of cheesy or lame, but I do have to kind of commend you. And I think I told you this at the time of like, that's actually very, I hate using this word. Our friend Anna will know why this bothers me, but it's very brave to walk away. And it actually takes a lot of courage and strength to walk away after 3.5 years. It
takes a lot, because being at that age, right, as a female, and I know a lot of females can relate to this, where it's like, wow, I'm 30 and single.
Yes.
This is not where I thought I was going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who wants marriage. I want kids.
Yeah.
I've always wanted that. That was always the trajectory in my head.
Right.
Was I wanted to be married by 30 and to just see all of that blow up.
Well, to you pulling the plug. Like, that's the thing is you're the one with the detonator in your hand. You're like, okay, I'm going to blow up my life.
Yeah.
You know?
And it was, you have to, for, people going through this, you have to think, do I want to stay in this comfort and stick into whatever this comfort is feeling for my whole life? Or maybe get a divorce later, have regrets?
Yeah.
Or do I get uncomfortable and do what feels right for me?
Right.
Which is a really hard decision to make.
That's incredibly hard.
Especially when there's like, in my situation, there was no foul play. Like, it was essentially us.
I was just going to say.
There was no cheating. There was no scandal. It was just us. It was just our own situation of problems.
My therapist says that a lot, that a lot of times in situations it would be helpful if there was like an actual tangible awful situation that happened, like it was cheating or abusive or something, something tangible that you could be like, no, they 100% did something wrong. That's very hard when there isn't a villain.
There isn't a villain. I have so much, to this day, I have so much love for him. And at that point, I wasn't in love with him, but there's just so much love for him. He's sweet. Care. He's a nice guy. I know there's so much care for me, just like I have so much care for him. So having to even, know the effects it's going to take on him and all this thing, it's a hard choice to make. Like, walking away, I feel like sometimes breaking up with someone is harder than being the one broken up with.
I could understand that. I could understand that because you know that you're doing this, that you are causing pain in someone's life that you love and care for sincerely. And there is no villain. There isn't like, well, you did something outwardly wrong or outright wrong, or me or whatever. But like knowing again that you're the one who holds the detonator and you're like, I'm going to blow up both of our lives. And that's really difficult.
It's really difficult. I mean,
and then I think especially where you guys were at too, like you guys, your lives were so intertwined. He was connected to your family, you vice versa, the friend groups. Like I would hang out with you guys.
We hang out all the time. It would sometimes just be us three. Yeah. I mean, he was in so many group chats.
Yes,
It was so intertwined.
Yeah.
We were at each other's families' weddings. Everybody knew about us. It wasn't just like immediate family. It was extended family. He's met basically everyone in my family. So in everyone's mind, it's like, okay, the next step is marriage. Everybody thought we were going that way. And
so how did that feel then at that point where like you kind of, after 3.5 years, like the next steps were basically like we were going to probably get engaged or marriage. Like that was basically the next step. Like there really wasn't anywhere else to go besides maybe just continuing on. But so how did that feel knowing that heading into your 30s and you're like, I'm going to actively make this choice for myself to be single.
Yeah.
And like, how did you feel? How did you like talk yourself into it? Like,
it was really hard, and I think other women can relate to this where we think about and marinate things for a while before we make the decision.
Oh, yes.
And guys know this too, where it's like when a girl is done, she is done.
She's done.
It's hard to wind her back in because we don't make instant decisions.
No.
We sit on it. We think about it, So it was something that like I felt for a while.
Yeah.
But I don't know, until that point where it happened, I couldn't do it. I wasn't ready to do it. Yeah. There was an incident that happened in April where I just felt like it needs to be now. And not that something bad happened, it just, I can't keep investing time into something my heart is not in. Yeah. And I can't keep doing that to him.
Yeah.
I can't just stay in something because I'm afraid to break his heart and because it feels safe. Because it's not doing any of us any good.
Yeah. That's a huge one of continuing to invest time into a bad situation. And again, not that it was bad, like, clear boundaries, but it wasn't the right situation. I guess that's probably a better word for it, is why continue then to put in time into a situation is not right for you and that is also not going to benefit you in any way. It's not going to go.
It wasn't, even our conversations were so stale. There was no substance to it. Everything just felt dry. I mean, I felt like we were just friends.
Yeah.
That was my best friend, but I didn't think that was my best friend and my lover.
Right. And that's what you want, in a romantic relationship. Which, yeah, I think a lot of times it's easy to just stay.
It's very easy to stay.
Because
where it's like, well, we know each other. My comfort's here. I can tell him anything.
You're
it's
at that
safe.
level. It's safe.
He knows my family. I know his family. Like, everything's fine.
You know each other's quirks and, likes and dislikes, and you've gotten used to each other. And, it's just kind of like, well, am I really going to do this? Am I going to walk away to then go to a situation where I
have no idea what's going to be.
What's going to happen.
What's going to be in the cards for me.
Right.
Am I going to get married? Am I going to be able to have a kid? Like, who the fuck knows now?
Right. Exactly.
But, in terms of like how I felt, I'm really blessed to come from the family I come from because my parents were very, very supportive. They were.
That's amazing.
It's super, especially in my culture. It's really amazing because in our culture, like, you don't bring people around unless it's like the engagement's happening or unless you are engaged.
Right. Or unless it's like a very serious situation.
It's like a very serious thing.
It's like, no, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So my mom and my dad were both like, you have to do what's happy, what makes you happy.
Yeah.
My mom said to me several times, I don't care if he's met the whole family. Like, that's not going to bother me. If people say things, that's not going to bother me. I just want you to be happy. I want you to make the right choice for you, and the rest doesn't matter.
Wow. What support.
Yeah, so I had so much support
Yeah.
where I felt like, even with my friends, it made me feel better. Because it's not, if I had my parents also being like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, that would have made things so much harder.
Right. Yeah.
Them being so supportive made it easier.
Makes
it was, I was kind of in this stage where it's like, I do feel like a little like weight lifted off my shoulder, but I also, what is this going to be like now?
Yeah. What's the next step? What am I walking into?
What am I walking into?
Because that's another thing is that you were out of the dating scene for 3.5 years.
Yeah. And now I'm going to as a much older individual.
Yes.
And then now you're thinking about the pool being smaller because most people are already in
long-term, yes.
or about to get married, or not that there aren't single people, but the pool is different than from your 20s.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, and also everyone's like, it starts to get very weird and different because you start having people who are still kind of stuck in that 20s type of vibe where they're just like, oh, I just want to have fun. But then you have people that are in their 30s and are like, no, this is what I want. Because you're seeing it change in your friend groups. You're seeing like the one person who's like a partier, and then the one person who's having a baby, and then the one person who's engaged.
It's so true.
Then the one person who's actively dating and trying to maturely date, and then the one who's like in the hoe phase. Like, it's very odd. And you're meeting these types of different people too.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. So
it's the hard part, and then you're almost like rediscovering what you want. You're rediscovering everything,
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out you had someone in your life for 3.5 years. You're trying to figure out how to navigate without that person.
Yeah. Having to navigate without that person, how to kind of be alone again. And then also, again, reevaluating. What do you want? What am I looking for? Were there some good things, in the relationship that I did like and I do want to have again?
Definitely were.
And what things were missing?
Yeah.
What did I think at 20 or, 26 in my 20s was really important. And now I look at it, I'm like, that has nothing to do with anything. And vice versa. Like, what did I was just like, whatever, that doesn't matter. And now I'm older and I'm like, well, shit. Wait a second. I really know that this is incredibly important. So, and I think that's what I get so stuck on is that's why I say it is very brave, because it's easy. It's easy to sit there and just say, well, I'm willing to sacrifice for the comfort. I'm willing to put up with for the safety.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into this. I don't want to deal with being single. I don't want to be alone.
I hear all my friends saying how bad dating is.
Yes. I mean, I would tell you all the time. You'd be like, how is it? I'm like, it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
It's awful.
A lot of people stay for comfort.
Yeah.
And then you either have resentment, it's just divorce. It's just, you're not happy.
Yeah. Well, it's like this quote that I heard, you have to choose your hard. Every path is hard. And granted, it was in relation to weight loss. But it's true.
It works in everything.
It works in everything. Same with a relationship. Like, it's hard to be single and navigate that after 3.5 years or longer, or even if it's shorter, just having to choose that for your life when you hear that it's not great out there and you're heading into your 30s when you're heading into your 30s single when you thought you'd be heading into your 30s like possibly engaged, or no, that's going to happen probably within the next year, you know. That's hard, but so is being in a relationship that you really are not dedicated to and you really don't want to be in.
Yeah.
They're both hard.
They're both hard.
So choose your hard, because no path is easy. And I think that's where people get tripped up.
I will say, even though I was the one who wanted out, it is still just as hard.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, it's not just because you're the one who's like, I'm choosing this.
I mean, honestly, I would be lying if I sat there and said there weren't times where I was like, did I make the right choice?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, like, were there times where you were like, I regret this, or...
I wouldn't say I regret, but there were times where I was like, did I make the right choice? I mean, even when, after we broke up and, you know, a few weeks later when he was reaching back out and trying to make things work, there were a few times where I was like, maybe.
So then how did you kind of, I don't want to say how did you convince yourself, but how did you remind yourself of, yes, I did make the right choice?
Because a change can't happen in a few weeks. You know, there were things we both needed to work on. And the way we broke up was kind of like, let's focus on ourselves, re-find yourself. You know, I want to focus on my career, things that matter to me. And I think we need to just be alone and kind of see where our path takes us. You know, maybe we'll come together in the future.
Right.
But, you know, he kind of took it in a way where like, well, it's been 3 weeks, I've changed. And I was like, no, change doesn't happen in 3 weeks. And like, it's hard reading really emotional things.
Yeah.
You know, like when I would get like really big texts about all these things, and it's hard to not read that and feel some type of way.
Absolutely. And especially when it's
want to believe those words.
Yes. Because especially when those are the words that you've been wanting to hear.
Yeah.
Those are the actions that you've been wanting to see. And then it comes out. And so then you're like, well, maybe.
But then I had to remind myself, I was like, no, because what's going to happen, you know, enough time hasn't passed.
Right.
You are going to just fall. I'm going to say yes. And it's just going to cycle again.
Yeah.
Because change does not happen in a few weeks. Change does not happen in a month.
Right.
You know, and
habits can start within that time frame, but actual true change and you truly have adopted or changed or adapted your lifestyle, you know, to that change or whatever. Like that takes, I agree. I think that takes a little bit. Habits can start to form, but it doesn't mean that it is a solidified habit in your life. And like, no, I've completely.
Yeah. And I mean, basically a month after we broke up, he kind of gave me an ultimatum and was like, are we doing this or am I needing to move on? And I was like, we need to do our own thing, because honestly, I'm going to be very candid, but that's not fair to give to me. You know, we just broke up.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just sit here and say like, we're doing this or we're not.
Right.
It's been a month. Don't like sit here and say like, I've done all these changes or whatever. Like, no.
Well, and also a relationship, and I don't know, I mean, everyone take this with a grain of salt, because as I've said before, fun fact, I've never been in a committed romantic relationship, but I don't think that a relationship, I think there's parts of it, but I think the whole of it, the totality, it's not a to-do list.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, well, I've done this, and this. It's like how people always tell women, like, don't have your check boxes, like, don't have your list, and if they don't meet it, you know, like, it's not so cut and dry like that. And I think especially for men, it's like, well, you said you wanted this and I've done it. And it's like,
that was very him.
Right. But like, it's not a true change. It's just and also you've said it because I left, you know what? So then I have to threaten to leave every time I want something to change. Yeah. Like that's not the issue.
I already know patterns are going to repeat. Like,
yes.
It was just not, you know, I feel, again, who knows what could have happened, but I feel like if he let like 6 months pass or whatever and he actually focused on himself instead of like, I just need to say whatever to win her back, which is kind of what it felt like.
Right.
Then who knows what could have happened. But I think the way things played out, like, it's kind of at a place where I think we both know it's just like,
it was done.
It's
kind of ran its course.
There's no circling back.
Yeah. So, in terms of, because I know we've touched on this a little bit, in terms of staying friends.
Yeah.
Where, kind of, what are kind of two-parter. What are your thoughts on staying friends with an ex? And then second, how did you function with your ex and being friends if you are or not?
So when we first broke up, we obviously, like, aside from that point where he kind of was like, gave me that ultimatum, we stopped talking. So it was not that we were talking constantly, but he was trying to, I mean, we just broke up. He's used to talking to me every day. Like, he was trying to make things work.
Right.
So after that month, when I basically was like, no, we stopped talking.
Yeah.
Until around, I want to say the summer. So I want to say maybe in July or June, around there. I forgot how we started talking, but like in a friendly way. It wasn't.
It wasn't like trying to rekindle or anything. It wasn't
just trying to rekindle. Yeah,
because you did have a friendship.
We had a friendship. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I miss talking to him. I miss sharing things that like happened in my life with him because it was so easy. He was my best friend. Like we could joke around. We could do all these things. So like you do miss that aspect.
Of course.
So I don't remember if I reached out or he reached out. I have no idea. But we talked for a bit, and then right after my birthday in July, he basically said that, you know, I'm seeing someone now, and like we need to like not have the small things between us. And that really took me for a damn loop. I was like, we just broke up 3 months ago. You're telling me that there's somebody else.
Yeah.
And that somebody else supersedes everything we've been through, that you need to like cut me off now. And that's where it gets messy being friends with an ex, because there's no way like you're going to be okay with that. No matter if I did or not, it's like it's hurtful. It's like literally the Selena Gomez song, it took us 3 months to replace us.
Yeah.
Or whatever she said.
Yeah.
It was just, it was a lot. It was, for me, it was hurtful. It was just, I was shocked.
Yeah. Well, because it almost has this feeling of just like, it negates everything that we had.
It negates everything. It negates these essays you were sending me saying like things are different, all that. Because 2 months after that, you are now with someone and it's at such a serious point, according to you,
that you had to stop communication with me. Yeah. Like, and again, I do appreciate when someone is like, hey, out of respect of this new relationship that I'm in, like, I do think it's best that we limit our conversation, or I'm going to have to take a break from this just until like I feel more secure in the relationship that I'm in, or whatever it is. Like, I can understand that. Everyone has their own opinions on it, but mine is I can respect a wanting to respect. But the fact I'm kind of in your boat though, that it's like, I'm sorry. Like, we were together for 3.5 years. We had all this deep connection. We literally were kind of at a point. We were at a crossroads of like, either we continue this and we're going to get married, or we go our separate ways, which obviously that's what happened. And then you're telling me that 3 months after that, you're now at a point with this new person that it's so, you know, deep, and it's just so important that you have to stop the contact with me.
Yeah, and like I was still on his Amazon Prime, and people were already still on it. I got kicked off that. I got kicked off his Netflix. I just got kicked off of everything.
You got kicked off of everything.
And maybe I shouldn't have still been on it, but like, I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, So that's where, after that happened, my stance really changed on like, no, you cannot be. I went from, we can be friends. Look, we're having conversation. We're chilling. But the second he told me he had a girlfriend, I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I literally went off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't handle it. And then my family's like, what's wrong with you? Like, you broke up with him. And it's like, it's not about that.
Yes. Yeah. That's the thing. It's not about who broke up with you, because I feel like, getting kind of back to that point that you made earlier, just because you're the one who's initiating it doesn't mean that it hurts any less.
Yeah. And
like you said, maybe it does hurt more, but that's the thing. It's like, just because I wanted it doesn't mean that I don't feel still, you know, and that I'm still fresh off of this as well.
It's so weird to me to be like, he has a girlfriend that's not me. He has another. I don't even know.
Someone else is in your place, and you're like,
in like 2 days.
Yes, yeah. What felt like a very, very, very short time.
Yeah,
and then again, to like, I think women think about it from this perspective. and I don't know if you do, but I think we both think about it from the same way. It's like, okay, so you're telling me that like you got on an app or whatever, met this person, had enough dates, then got to this point of being like, I want to continue to see this person, then got to this point of exclusivity, then got to this point where it was going to be disrespectful at this point in the relationship for you to continue to talk to your ex of 3.5 years that you actually do have a legitimate friendship with. Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's the way my mind works.
No, that's same. And
all in a span of 3 months.
I got
like,
really
okay.
upset. Of course, he didn't understand why I was upset.
Yes.
Yes. Whatever. And I don't know. So I just don't think it's a good idea. But then on the other side of that, like, it did confirm that I made the right choice. Because I was like, that's not attractive. In these 3 months, I'm not in a relationship. I'm not like, he found her on a dating app.
Yeah.
I'm not swiping away looking for a partner. I did what I said I was going to do. Right. I am doing me. I am going out having fun with my friends.
Yes.
But I'm not actively chasing a relationship.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can't be alone and the fact that you need to fill that void so bad was really unattractive to me.
Yeah.
And it confirmed that, like, no, like, change was never going to happen.
Yeah. That this was a lot of talk.
This was a lot of talk because you weren't working on yourself.
Yeah.
You were just falling back into the same habits
patterns.
of needing somebody there. And
because it's true. How are you truly working on yourself and going through a healing journey or whatever when you are actively putting in energy to seeking out a new partner?
yeah.
Like, that's a lot of energy that goes into both. And I'm not saying that you have to be perfect in order to find a partner. I'm not saying that, but you should be pretty damn near whole, before you go and trying to find someone else. So, and especially after a breakup.
I agree. So, I was like, okay, well, we really are done. At this point, that
solidified it.
That solidified.
The nail in the coffin.
The nail, yeah.
The straw that broke the camel's back.
This is it. So, my take now, don't do it. It's not a good idea.
If you asked her a year ago, she'd be like, yeah, sure. A year later, absolutely not.
Yeah, don't do it.
Pass.
I mean, there's difference where, like, I have no hate to him. I have no love. If he literally called me right now, I would answer.
Yes.
If he was like, I really need your help, I would be there.
Right.
But there's a difference between that and being friends.
I think that that's true. There's a difference between just saying, like, look, if you really did need my help and you were in a bind or whatever, I would be there for you, but there's a difference between consistently talking every day and, having that very friendly conversation and, we hang out and, in the friend group and we went to a movie together, and there's two very, very different things. So,
So to each their own. I know my stance changed a bit, but that's how I feel. When you've like been with someone for this long, it's not easy to see them with someone else, even though you don't want that. But I'm sure he's gonna feel the same way about me. The day we're married to somebody else, or I see him getting engaged, I'm gonna be like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's always going to it's always going to have some tinge.
Yeah, he's always gonna have some sort of place in my heart. I'm not gonna say it's like a love, but there's just, we shared so much together. We went through so much together. He was with me for some of the hardest points of my life.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's always gonna be that way,
right? And that's what I think is. I always say, like, that person will be tattooed on my heart forever. Yeah, like there will always be a spot for them that size hole, type of thing place that they occupy. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a romantic love or that you're in love. But there will always be like a care for that person, which makes sense. How could you not? That's the thing. How could you not? That would be wild to me. Again, unless that person was like a villain, then you could be like, yeah, fuck that person. Yeah. But if nothing bad truly, truly happened, it was just we grew apart. That's really, really hard. Mm-hmm. So, we get through the breakup. We finally decide, not finally decide, but we are confirmed that this is the right choice. So, then you're back on the streets.
I'm back on the streets.
Back on the streets. Open for business. I'm just kidding. But okay, so then you're kind of ready to, I don't want to say like you're looking for anything, because you're not. I remember you were just like, I'm actually really happy to just enjoy my life and go out and have some fun.
And find passions. And I mean, during this time we started the podcast.
Yeah. Having passions, pursuits.
I was really into fitness. Yeah. You know, my goals were not, let's replace this void. Because, yeah, it is hard going from talking to someone constantly to not.
Yes.
But I'm a very strong-willed individual.
You are. Y'all, you do not understand how strong-willed Sana is.
I think I wasn't always like this. And I think if we got Aisha on here, she would say, like,
she'd be like, I know the other thing.
Yeah, I wasn't. But the way I am now, it's like I'm not joking. When I say my phone is dry, I literally do not talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Because at this point in my life, I'm not going to entertain pointless conversations. I'm not going to, just for the sake of having someone there.
Yeah.
So I talk to Jackie all day, or like Aisha or somebody, but like there is nobody that I'm like texting, calling, seeing. Like I'm just like we talked about. I'm finding things to do, finding ways to live my life, and that's how you have to be. You cannot be codependent on needing someone there.
Right. You have to learn how to sit in the silence or be with your own thoughts.
Be with your own thoughts. And that's kind of how when we ended this relationship, is how I kind of went about things. Like, I wasn't like, woohoo, like, who's the next guy now? Like, who am I going to date now? Like, the thought, like, what are these other guys like now? What is dating like now did cross my mind.
Right.
But it wasn't like, well, day one of single now.
Yeah. Like, just gonna put it out there, everyone. Like,
so Instagram story. So hey,
the thirst traps start going up.
I didn't do anything. There was, I was going out a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I was going out a lot because I do feel like when towards the end of our relationship, I became a different person.
You really did.
I wasn't wanting to go out. I also wasn't happy with my body.
Yeah.
I was just not.
You weren't you.
I wasn't me.
I remember you were like falling asleep, going to sleep at like 7:30 in the evening. Literally. Like, no joke, you guys. Yeah. Like, I would text her or I would call her, and she would be yawning. And I'd be like, it's 6:30, bro. Or like, it's 7 o'clock. Or I would call her and she wouldn't answer. Then the next day she'd be like, oh, sorry, I fell asleep. Like, she would be going to sleep at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. Didn't want to go out. Had no desire. I think for like a few of the last months, like, I never really saw you. And like, we talked like here and there, but it wasn't as intense as it had been. And
you didn't want to drink.
You didn't really want to do anything. Like, you just really kind of were just in this funk. Yeah. In this like weird spot. So so it was exciting to like kind of have like the old Sana back. She was like, let's go out. Let's get out. I'm like, yay.
Like, I was like rediscovering, like, I don't know, like again, it just like a weight was lifted off my shoulders.
Yeah. But it was nice for you to be yourself again, because you are a very social person. You're an extrovert. Like, you enjoy conversation and good times and good company and good food and, traveling and having new adventures. And so it was fun. It was fun to see. And me being like perpetually single, I was like, oh, yay, another like single friend again. So I will admit selfishly, I was like, yay. I was very sad for Sana as her being my friend and seeing her go through pain. But selfishly, I was like, another person to connect with. So we're kind of on this journey post-breakup. We're feeling good. We're going out, having fun, having adventures. So then what happens in the dating scene, the dating world?
Yeah. So, I mean, there were two, I guess, impactful lessons.
Yeah. Let's talk about... What are the lessons we've learned this past year?
What I will tell my girls that are going through this, the mistakes I've made. Yes. Because I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, I was just on this healing journey and I was just reading all day. And because that's not the truth. Like, I was trying to focus my time and, put my energy elsewhere. But naturally, there were a few men that I met that I did become involved with. Yes. And it's not that I was actively looking. Both of them I met by chance.
Right.
So
first one,
I think the lesson we learned. So I met him very early on post breakup. Mm-hmm. We literally met 3 weeks after my breakup by chance at a comedy show.
Yeah.
Like, literally minding my own business.
Yeah.
It was such a by chance. Then he asked me out. We met up the next week, and it was exciting, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's only been 3 weeks, but it was like, wow, like, what is this going to be like?
Yeah.
I've been with the same person for 3.5 years. Like, what is dating like now? And
Yeah.
it was just thrilling. And I think when you're right off that fresh point, everything's exciting.
Yes.
Your judgment is not there. I'm not going to sit here and say he was a bad guy, but like your judgment's not there. So like anything he does that is remotely different than your ex is like, wow, this is what I was missing.
Yes. I was just going to say, I think because because after a breakup, you are consistently, and because you're talking to your friends, your family, you're constantly discussing what wasn't there. Mm-hmm. No one's sitting there being like, well, what did work, Sana?
Yeah, no, everyone's saying what wasn't there.
Everyone, you're talking of like why you broke up because I didn't have this, this was missing, he didn't do this, or I didn't do this, and we weren't this together. So you're constantly talking about what you do want. Then someone comes in and shows you either all of that or some of it or it's a semblance of something, and you're just like, is this?
No,
that's
literally that was fate? Literally me. I was like, I was all up in my head. Like we met by chance.
Yes.
He has qualities that I've been looking for. He's assertive. Like I had that issue with my ex towards the end of a relationship. It was just everything was built up in my head where it's like, wow, this is everything that was missing.
Yes.
But you only focus on everything that was missing.
Correct.
That is the issue in those situations because you're so fresh, you haven't healed. So everything is just like, you don't look at the bad.
Yeah.
You only focus on what was missing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like at that point, because when you had told me about him, is very rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, he has this and this and this and this. And then I think you start romanticizing.
Yeah.
And then you start
taking it. Built it up in my head.
Yes. And you start making it out to be bigger than it was.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you eat something because you're starving and you're like, oh my God, this is like the best thing I've ever eaten. And you're like, is it because it's actually good or is it because I'm that hungry? No, like dirt would taste good right now, like it's kind of one of those things. So yeah, very much.
And I think him and I were going through the same thing because he just got out of a long-term-ish relationship. And so I think with each other, it was kind of, this is new, this is exciting. So, we were seeing each other for a few months, but then it got to that point where it's like, it just got weird.
Yes.
This wasn't the right fit. I think we kind of just like dove into it. Not that we were like exclusive or anything, but it was too soon.
Yes. Well, and plus there were also things that had happened.
There were red flags.
Yeah, there were clearly red flags and red flags popped up in different situations. And then it was like, again, it's like, well, like, I don't know if you really did this. 'Cause I'm trying to think back, but I think some things you might have justified.
I'm sure I justified because he started doing the typical hot and cold behavior.
Yeah.
It became that one day you're super into me, the next day you're like super cold. And it started to become really inconsistent. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, dude, what the heck is going on? But then when he would see me, he would act a different way.
Right.
And then we would have like a great weekend together and then he would get really weird again.
Yeah.
So that like messes with your mind a bit.
Of course.
And then I had to like basically come to a decision where like, I mean, he was very much just like, let things play out. Like, just let it go. Like,
I love that. We don't have to decide on anything. Let's just see what happens.
Let's just keep going with it. And for me, I realize it's hard for me. When I like somebody and I'm like, it's not like, I'm not saying like we went on 1 or 2 dates. When I'm consistently going out with you, consistently seeing you, consistently talking to you,
sharing, connecting,
going like on hanging out for long periods of time and meeting my friends and like things like that means something to me. And I don't like sharing. So like,
I'm not okay just being like seeing where this goes because you want to entertain other women.
And
like I don't want that because I don't want to entertain other men.
Yeah, because I'm a very like one man girl when I like somebody.
Yeah, serial monogamous.
Yeah, when I like somebody, like I'm all in.
Yes.
And that's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yes, I'm like loyal to a fault. I will say. Yeah.
So it was just. I had to step back. It was just like, no, this is going down where I don't want to go down. And I need to just do me.
Yes. And you're not already feeling your best coming off of a breakup. Like, yeah, there can be some things where you feel a little bit liberated, but you're still not like in the headspace to be like, no, like I'm strong, I'm this, I'm that. And then this happens, and then someone rejects you or someone doesn't choose you. And then you're just like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? And then I feel like that's kind of dangerous too. And that's a lesson to be learned is it can really send you down like a negative path, you know? And that's why it is so important to do the work after a breakup.
Yeah. And I think that's a really big advice I would give to somebody. Yeah, I didn't go out to find this guy. Like, he kind of approached me, but I'm the one who entertained it.
Exactly.
And I entertained it at a point where I should not have been entertaining it. Because 3 weeks post-breakup, like, I should really not be going on a date.
Yes.
I should have not been like, well, let's see.
Let's just see.
Yeah, even though I was the one who initiated, but it just wasn't the right time.
Right.
So, like, if that's something I could really tell somebody, do not rush into anything. Please take your time to just go through what you're feeling, hang out with the people you care about, find hobbies, but do not just stick into old habits of comfort, of wanting somebody there.
Yes.
Of, like, you know, even in these situations where it's like, I wasn't hunting, but like, you don't need to entertain.
Right. That's, I think the key is you don't always have to entertain what comes in your path. Because it's not always like, not all that glitters is gold. Right. So just because, and I think that's something, I know we've talked about it before, is everyone's like, why do I meet these men or this? It's like, no, because you entertain it. There's always going to be people that cross your path, but it doesn't mean that you have to entertain it.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big thing too, is because you're fresh off a breakup, you're also looking for adventure and you're looking for fun. And I will say, drama and chaos can be fun for a moment. They're not.
It was fun. It was exciting.
It was exciting. And again, it's like you've been eating a certain flavor of ice cream, and then all of a sudden, the whole entire, 31 flavors is now open to you, and you're like, holy shit, like, look at this and look at that. But like the chaos of it and, mixing all the flavors, like that can become addictive. And I think that that's another reminder of just like, look, when you're coming off of a breakup, certain bad habits can become addictive because this is what you've been craving and wanting.
Yeah. You need to learn to be alone. That's the advice I could give from being out of a relationship, is you need to learn to be alone.
Right.
You need to be able to be whole on your own. You cannot be dependent on needing someone to feel good.
Right.
And that's like, at that point is when you're going to have the most successful relationship.
Yeah.
When you could stand alone, when you can have a dry phone.
Yeah.
And be like, it is what it is.
Yeah. And be okay with it. That's something that I'm learning and going through in therapy, is just learning to be okay with this.
Yeah. Being okay with it, because I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to fucking settle. Yeah. Right? I know what I want now. It's been a year. I know exactly what I want through everything I've gone through, and I'm not going to take less. Right. And if that means I may not have a partner, then so be it. But that's better than having someone who's not serving me. Right.
Well, and it also means that if I have a dry phone, if it means that, my love life is just like nothing's happening, I saw, Jen on Sunday, and another friend of hers was there, and she was like, oh, are you seeing anybody? And I was like, my therapist.
Yeah.
Like if that's what that means, then again, learning to be okay with that.
Yep.
And because it's like, no, I'm not going to entertain. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, if I could say that this is the biggest takeaway from this lesson from this boy, is don't entertain just for the sake of like, I just need something, or I need something to fill the void or whatever. Like, look, everyone has their healing process. So I know some people go into their hoe phase. Some people are like deep dive
into. Which is fine.
Yeah, whatever.
If you want to go into that phase. But my thing is, do not fall into the phase of like, I just need another relationship.
Well, don't sacrifice your real for a fake.
Yep.
That's the whole thing, is don't sacrifice what you truly do want and your self-respect and time and energy and who you are as a person for stupidity.
Totally. Like, I think I'm all about going and having fun, but I can't stand people who can't be alone.
Yeah.
Like, I mean by alone, by commitment. Like, you go from relationship to relationship, you just keep hopping and hopping. It's like, no, dude, be alone. Find yourself.
Yeah. Find what makes you, as cheesy as it says, find what makes you you, what makes you tick, what makes you happy. I remember I heard another podcaster, and he said, he said for breakup, like, he really recommends spending time with friends and family.
Yeah.
He said, because and of course, this is also speaking from a place of if you have a good set of friends and family, people who make you feel supported and loved. And he's saying, because that reminds you how you should be treated. That reminds you how you should feel in a relationship. So if you do not feel that loved and supported in a romantic relationship like you do with your family and friends, who are typically your most important people, right, in your life, that's telling.
Yeah.
And that's why you should connect yourself a lot after a breakup with your family and friends, because it reminds you, this is what I deserve, this is what I want, type of thing. So you don't fall for the bullshit and or entertain the bullshit just because it's like something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Because how many times have we told ourselves that?
A lot.
I know I have. So this kind of brings us into boy number 2. Yeah. Situation number 2.
So number 2 happened like months later. We met in Vegas. And this lesson was the instant chemistry lesson.
The instant chemistry lesson.
I fell in the big instant chemistry because we met in Vegas. Our first date was like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And I remember telling Jack, like, this, like, the connection, like, I was with him for 6 hours, like, oh my God.
It's fate. It's clandestine.
I'm just speaking so freely. I'm so comfortable. We have so much to talk about. And she was like, nah, girl, that is not good. She said, you do not give someone that much of you immediately. So much of you emotionally.
Yes. You don't open up that door just to anybody.
Yeah. I mean, we spoke about everything. I mean, 6 hours for a first date is
it's very long.
Very long.
Yes, very long.
There was a lot of chemistry on both ends. We were both physically attracted to each other.
Yes.
You know, we could speak so freely. We would be on the phone for hours. Like, there was just so much to it that I feel like I just fell into it.
Right.
With seeing the red flags, with seeing all the issues. Again, we're another guy that just got out of a relationship, an engagement.
Yes.
Did I run away from that? No. Because it was like only 2 months before we met. But that was the one where I fell into that real quick, where it was so like fiery.
Yes. And that's the thing too. Again, kind of still taking the lesson learned from, boy number 1 of just this is what I was missing and this is what I want. And then it's not even just in a partner, but then the thrill. Because when's the last time? I mean, again, in a relationship, I think that romance and that thrill can wear off, or it kind of comes and goes, right? Like sometimes you have to keep it going. You have to kind of stoke the fires. And a lot of times people let it get down to embers because it does take energy to continuously stoke that fire and keep the flames of passion burning.
Yeah, it does. It's work.
It is work, exactly. And so, so then when you find it with a very different person,
very different,
and then you get sucked into that.
The edgy guy, very different.
The edgy, tattooed, muscly. He was a very good-looking dude. I will say, not a fan of him, but he was a good-looking dude, so I get it. But that's what draws you in, right? That's what draws us into movies and to books and, to the whole, like, just wild of it. But that's also the danger.
That was a lot of danger.
A lot of danger.
Just emotionally, it was.
Right. Well, because that's exactly why. Because then you get pulled in, and then you get pulled into this connection, and then you start giving of yourself.
Yeah. And it fell into I love talking to you, I love hanging out with you, but I don't know what I want.
Yeah, that's what
I don't know what I want.
I don't know what I want.
But I do know that I want to keep hanging out. I want to keep going on dates.
Yeah.
But after that, I don't know.
Well, and, to interpret that, I know that I don't want commitment from you or to you. But I want the girlfriend experience. But I want the girlfriend experience. So that's what I want. And are you willing to give that to me?
Yeah.
And that's where it gets tricky because we get emotionally invested. And that's why it is so important right after this breakup that's why getting back to the original, it's so dangerous sometimes to even entertain, because then you do get pulled into the wild. Well, I feel like
during him, I was in a better mindset.
You were in a little bit of a better mindset.
Towards the end of the summer, we were like almost in September.
Yeah.
It was different,
Right.
I was single. I wasn't like really entertaining anybody in between that. I was doing my own thing.
Yeah.
It's a different mindset. It was just, I think a lot of females confuse, you take that instant chemistry and you ignore everything else.
Yes.
Everything gets pushed aside. And that was the biggest flaw with him, where it's like there were so many red flags, but I was just like, I don't know. I couldn't walk away from it.
Red is the new green.
Red is the new green. And not saying that I went full in, because I did have my boundaries.
Yes.
I did, I was still like, no, I'm not going to give you this.
Yes.
But did we still talk? Did we still have this quote unquote friendship? Like we did.
Yeah.
It wasn't, the dynamic changed a bit.
Yes.
But we were still hanging out. We were still like,
you were still giving.
It wasn't like we weren't
yourself.
like going on dates, but like being friends and like it's the same thing. It wasn't healthy.
Yes, it was the same thing, but like we just like don't kiss, type of thing. And that's the thing. It still wasn't healthy because you confuse the instant chemistry with like, oh, this connectedness, and then this emotional ties, and also then I think you kind of start telling yourself like this means something.
You start telling yourself it means something, and your lines get blurred. I mean, I shared so much with him that I haven't shared with most people in my life.
Yeah.
So it's just, you need to wind it back.
Right.
Like do not give everything so quick.
Yes.
Because it's exciting and thrilling.
Yeah. Don't give it all up front.
Yeah.
Type
and
of
that,
thing.
Yeah. So we have the too soon that you like romanticize, and then you have the
thrill,
the instant chemistry, the different.
Yes. And again, this means something, and it doesn't have to mean anything.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing for when you're right out of a breakup, fresh kind of off of it. Even within the kind of, months after it, you're still just like, oh, does this mean something? Is this who I'm supposed to be with? And it's like, no, like maybe it's just a good conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe that was just
it's just a good conversation.
Maybe it was just a fun night that we met in Vegas and we danced.
Jackie says she's like, well, why would they not have a good conversation with you?
Yes.
She's like, well, don't confer that. Of course they're gonna have a good conversation with you.
Yes. Women, stop selling yourself short, as my therapist tells me. Stop selling yourself short. And I tell Sana this all the time. I'm always like, well, of course they're gonna have a great conversation because you're a great conversationalist. Of course they're gonna have fun. You're a fun person to be around. And that's another thing, is that I think women get very caught up in like, it was a great time. It's like, but was it a great time because you both were giving into the situation and into the date or whatever? Or is it just because you know how to keep it going and you're a really fun person and you were cracking yourself up?
So many times. She's like, was it a fun date or was it fun because you're fun?
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, sometimes I think about it, I'm like, the problem is that like I could probably just talk to anybody.
Yes. That's the hard part, is you're like, no, I can make it a fun time with anybody. But that's where when you do the work afterwards and you do kind of look at yourself and that introspection and just like, well, this is why even being around friends and family, because they pour into you as much as you pour into them. So again, it's a good reminder that like, oh, this is how it feels to be on a two-way street in a situation, so that when you do go on a date or when you do meet somebody, you have something. You have a barometer. Yeah. That's the hard part in dating, is I feel like people are just kind of like, well, I don't know because I have nothing to measure it against. You actually do have something to measure it against, and it's your friends and family. If you have good, solid relationships, that's what you measure it against.
So I think that was the big thing for me with kind of the bigger dating situations that have happened since.
Yeah.
Obviously, this whole year, I've been single this whole year, but like I've been really like not talking to anybody since it's been months.
Right.
And I've gone on a few dates and stuff like that. Yeah, but it's just nothing that I have connected with.
Right.
I think more than anything, even through those two situations and just me finding myself this year, me finding passions, me keeping myself busy, like I know what the heck I want.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how are you approaching dating differently?
I think now I'm just not willing to put up with things. I so know what I'm looking for and what I want now. Yeah. And I know what I'm bringing to the table, and I know what I'm looking for at the table.
Yeah.
And I want someone who's going to be a partner, who's adding value. I don't want someone's there just to be there.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's making it really hard in this dating scene, is that I'm not wanting to just entertain the bullshit.
Yeah.
I want you're in it for the right reasons, or you're not, and we're going to connect, or we don't. But I'm not going to like just sit here and just have a conversation with you for the heck of like having comfort of texting somebody or calling somebody or like seeing someone every week. No, like I want a true partner, and I want someone that fits me and makes me happy and is matching that.
Yeah.
And that's hard to find.
It is. It's very hard to find. I think that's kind of the the hard part right now is mature dating. That's what's hard in the dating scene right now, is finding people that want to maturely date, which means, communicating what you're looking for, communicating just in the beginning stages with like logistics, or not ghosting, just actually being able to say, hey, thanks so much, but I just don't feel a romantic connection. Just again, but also going maturely into the dating scene, which means, like you said, knowing what you want, knowing that I'm not going to entertain simply because I'm bored or I feel lonely or I feel bad. And that's why I do say that.
Totally, because there are moments I talk to you, I was like, oh, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's going to suck.
Yeah.
That's something, it is going to suck. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, like, it's not going to suck.
No, for sure.
There are plenty of moments where I'm like, oh, like, it would be nice to have a partner.
Yeah. No,
it would be nice. We were just talking about this.
Yeah, we were just talking about this.
There's so many times, but so you got to stick to it. Like, do not fall into just the comfort. Like, really find yourself, really find things that make you happy.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be happy until you figure all that out.
Yeah.
Take this journey, like, heal. Don't rush into anything.
Yeah.
And just
take the time.
Take the time.
Take the time, because you're going to have to choose your hard, right?
You're going to have to choose your hard.
You're going to have to choose your hard. And I think it's easier when you know who you are, at least, so you're not trying to figure out two people.
Yeah.
At the same time, you can actually be all in, and you can actually be focused on this other person and a budding relationship possibly, and
no, it's so true.
What that looks like.
Because like a year later, like I can tell you, I'm probably ready than I've ever been.
Yeah.
My head's in the right space. I've taken time. I've really, focused on me, and whoever's going through this should do the same.
Yes, that is the advice. Take the time. Whatever that healing journey looks like, and it's probably going to go through different stages.
It is. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. There's going to be the tears.
Yeah.
Don't expect like this, like high horse. It's
yeah. You're not going to come out of it.
The grass is not going to be greener.
Yes. Yeah. But no, it will look funky, and it will look. It's going to be all over. There's going to be one hell of a roller coaster.
But you'll figure it out.
But be the single rider on the roller coaster. No, go through it. Do what you have to do in order to just come out better on the other end. Because, there is light at the end of the tunnel, eventually.
Eventually. We're still looking for it.
Still looking for it. But it's, again, like I said, it's easier to not have to figure out who you are and what you want and what's happening with you.
Exactly. Because just like I said, like if I were to, I'm ready for it.
Yes.
I'm not at this point where I'm at this hazy, well, I'm just figuring it out. I just got this long thing. I don't know what I want. Who am I now after 3.5 years?
Totally. That's a very valid question, because very different, right, from where you started to where you are now. So, but yeah, so hopefully if you are going through a breakup, or if you have gone through a breakup, hopefully this kind of resonates with you. I think it does. I think a lot of people. And even if you haven't gone through a breakup, this resonates with me of just finding yourself. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I kind of recognize there's probably a reason why I was never.
Keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
But
find
busy.
Your passions and pursuits, and do things, and go to just live. I would say, like, go and live your life. Don't go to do something because I'm going to find a partner here.
100%.
Go and do things because you enjoy, or you want to try new things, or just have different experiences and adventures, and have fun with your life and enjoy your life. Because I'm not going to give you the bullshit of like, it'll happen when you least expect. I fucking hate that.
I also hate that.
It's not that. It's just, it can't always be about a partner. It can't always, like, yes, we may want that. And yes, there's nothing wrong with wanting that. And there's definitely nothing wrong with maybe wanting your life to look a little bit different. But don't let that be the driving factor in everything. Let you be the driving factor in everything. Yes. I want to go do this because I want to.
Yeah.
Just makes me happy. So
well said.
Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. I know we went over a little bit, but we had to give this the time.
Yes. I hope it was helpful. I hope it does help any of you that are going through this.
Yes, for sure.
And I'm here. DM me.
Yes.
Email me.
Email us. What else do you want to hear?
Yeah.
But of course, this is your friendly reminder to, set that reminder button for our new podcast when they come out, wherever you're listening. Subscribe so you do get those alerts. Leave us a review. Again, 5 stars or nothing.
Yeah, or please get off my page.
Get off our page. Stop listening. No, we want to hear it, everything. But yeah, feel free to leave us comments, ratings, reviews, all that good stuff. But definitely subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
We'll see you on the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a good week.